I just wanted to add a video to this one, a checkup just on the plants. People can see the dinosaur plant, how much it grew since the last video. Right there, it's like 20-30 centimeters. A new fruit, leaves have started there. There are flowers working very well and growing and so on. So that there the fruit will come first, and the cucumbers as well, the honey and the flowers and everything. People can see it is working very well. The flowers are coming on top in many places. This branch grew like a lot in just a few days. People can tell the difference from the last video. This leaf turned yellow because it was in too much moisture and everything and so on. So people can see that that's really what changes the leaves. They are too close to the ground and there's too much evaporation and moisture, and they change color, so to speak. But the leaves are doing fine. They're very big and everything. And the cucumber is going very well. The flowers did start, not all of them, but they are all returning. Before they were dry like those, but some are returning and doing well, but some are still dry. Maybe those won't return. But the whole plant is doing well. These two did very good. Are growing fast also. This is like a different type of tomato right there, which is something, I don't know, those are the fruits right there that are growing and everything. And this one is growing very fast as well. So and I thought to add in this video parts of my book that I plan to translate so that it goes into the West. This is actually what antimatter is. All the neutrons and the protons, they become one superparticle. This is a design for oxygen, how to turn oxygen into antimatter. But all the neutrons and all the protons, they are squeezed by mass, just like Earth's gravitational pull. Even atoms have a spherical mass that squeezes them. Just how fast they move decides the speed of that incoming mass. The speed of the matter divided by 3,085 gives the speed, a calculation of mass squeezing matter together. So that's all antimatter really is. All the neutrons and protons, they become one superparticle. So that is even denser than even a neutron star, so to speak, or very similar to it. So that's one part of my book right there. This is another explanation of that. Antimatter. The neutrons and protons, they become one particle. This is like two hydrogen, so to speak, that make one super antimatter, and the energy of them is joined, and that's all antimatter really is. The mass squeezes it into one super particle, and that's what antimatter is. I even made predictions that once antimatter touches electrons, because it is ionized, that's why it blows up. So matter that is sort of not ionized, it could probably make a container for antimatter, which would be very needed for having fuel and going to space. This is the particle accelerator, the atom accelerator that I wrote about, many pages on it. And right there, people can see that is the income that it would, the last letters at the end of the page, that is the income, yearly income, that would that the atom accelerator is predicted to make once it is made and working and so on. So very huge physics, and something that is very good. But the first part I think to make is the magnets. Once the magnets are made, everything else in a particle accelerator is actually even easy. Electricity is let through it, nitrogen is added to it, helium, liquid helium is added to it, could be, and then it turns very cold. But to make the densest magnet, the densest magnet is the hard part. And that's something I've been studying for years and doing research on. So this is about a fuel made of antimatter. This is a equation. Energy sphere that I just explained, which is antimatter, equals the mass sphere. So the mass becomes what the energy is, and the mass is also sphered and a lot stronger in antimatter, and that's why it blows up then, because all the neutrons and protons are one energy, therefore even one mass, which similar to Einstein, people would think energy equals mass, but this is, it says it is identical to antimatter, which is identical to the temperature of the antimatter, which is divided by density of the neutrons through the number of neutrons. So the more neutrons into antimatter there is, the hotter the temperature is if the neutrons are the hot matter. In oxygen, neutrons are cold matter, most of it. 80% of oxygen is actually cold matter, 20-30 would be hot matter, and so on. And that is the union, the equation goes on, of acceleration. So the more that antimatter is accelerated in a particle accelerator, the more that energy and mass sphere become denser and smaller and smaller and denser, therefore more explosive and better for fuel. And that all of that equals, which is union of acceleration, gives times the speed of shock wave squared through a sphere. And that is the whole point of a fuel, that a shock wave is the most powerful one. In an explosion, the energy ain't really that helpful. When it's fuel, the shock wave is what propels the ship and gives it acceleration. The spaceship, which antimatter would propel. That is also another equation. Although this is all things like that. This is 1,000 times even better. This would be some parts that are about the food that I study. These, like last parts, this is all about the food that I'm trying to explain. So it is a very huge book. It is number 5. I have written 4 of them before. Great huge physics, gives people the understanding of the entire quantum realm, and then that leads people to understanding all technologies, all patents, future technologies, future patents, how to make them and everything. So thought to explain that the book is really real, the physics is really real, and I am attempting to translate it. I plan to, during the summer, translate it all. I even have some investors, potential investors that I'm talking to about the food and the creams and everything that I might work with in the future fast. So then even the books I plan to translate soon, and that they come to the West and everything. These arrows, and this is about atoms and quantum entanglement. In my physics, all atoms that are all matter that is solid is actually quantum entangled. And that gives people great knowledge and realizations about all matter and quantum realm and how to make all matter and everything. These arrows, just they go both ways. They represent quantum entanglement and so on. And this is also another very interesting part, and a formula about the strongest magnets that I mentioned. Although this is about neutronium, so this is like a very tough and very hard. Neutronium would be a copy of a neutron star magnet, which is made just of neutrons, but neutrons are actually neutral, so some other forces different than magnets would be needed to make them. But I even wrote in my books that some type of patch, if neutrons were bigger, some type of patch that is ionized could be put over them, and then they could go into a particle accelerator that is very big and made for them, like the one in this book that I have written. And then that is how, because neutronium magnets, which is one equation, there is many of them about them in this book. Neutronium magnets would give people such strong things, one might even be able to make a diamond out of them. One would take carbon and turn it into a diamond very easily then, and so on. So something also very huge to make a neutronium magnet, which would be a copy of the sun, of like a neutron star magnet. but just people wouldn't understand how fast it goes is actually speed of the gravity of the galaxy, and that is the mass squeezing the whole neutron star and making it so dense in the first place. That's even how supernovas I explained in my books. That's even how I explained them, that they happen because some flux in galaxies has a flux where stars sort of speed up, and then the neutronian core in them, the neutrons come closer and closer, and the closer they are, the hotter and hotter it gets, and that's how supernovas happen in my physics, which I studied for years, supernovas, how they go on and everything. But it is a huge physics, and it might even lead to such magnets, which would be a great thing in physics and everything. So just thought to add that to the video at the end, and see everybody till the next video. Bye.